And Major, I want to ask about Vice President Pence. How did he find out that he was misled by Michael Flynn?
Well, according to those close to the matter, the vice president first learned of Flynn's deception last Thursday and from news accounts. And shortly thereafter, and I mean very shortly thereafter, Pence began to express his displeasure with that revelation inside the senior levels of the White House. And it was after those conversations began, the ground beneath Michael Flynn's feet began to erode.
Major, if the president was warned that Flynn may have lied to the vice president weeks ago, why is he reacting just now?
Well, what we have are the representations from his press secretary, Sean Spicer, who described the president as acting decisively, but saying there had to be a due process period of time for the White House counsel's office to review if anything Michael Flynn did violated any relevant federal law. And the representations from Sean Spicer and other hearers at the White House is that it was that focus, and that focus solely, that dominated the intervening days. And once that determination had been made, no laws were broken, and that's only the determination of the White House counsel's office, not any outside legal analysts or experts. But once the White House counsel's office determined no laws were broken, then there was a second evaluation of whether or not Michael Flynn, retired general and national security advisor, could be trusted. And there were other aspects of Flynn's performance within his time as the national security advisor designate during the transition and in his short-term career as national security advisor that also raised concerns in the White House. Taken together, they led to the president asking for him to resign.
To be clear, Major, I just want to make sure we understand here. There has been no determination, other than the White House's determination, of legality. So there could be a legal issue here. We just don't know yet.
Certainly those on Capitol Hill who are Democrats and even some Republicans have said that is a question that deserves an outside investigation. The White House counsel's representation that no laws were broken is not the final word on such matters. Some Democrats are calling for an outside independent investigation. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said today there will be an investigation conducted through the normal channels of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and there may be at some point an outside legal review of this matter. Right now, all we have is the appraisal of the White House counsel's office that General Flynn broke no laws.
And I wonder, Major, has there been any explanation as to, if there was nothing illegal, why General Flynn would have felt compelled to mislead the vice president in the first place?
It's an excellent question with no real logical answer at this point, Elaine. Any conversations he had with the Russian ambassador might well have been taped or recorded. Now, let me pause for a moment here, Elaine, and say there's one other aspect of this story that has a lot of unanswered questions around it. There are representations that transcripts exist of these phone calls. How were those transcripts made? Were they the result of a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act authorized warrant? And if so, who asked for that warrant and under what auspices, under what legal justification? And if it was the FBI that did that recording, was that an Obama administration decision to authorize that warrant? We don't know the answers to these questions. And these transcripts, can they be declassified? The President of the United States has that power. Might they be declassified to clear up a lot of these unanswered questions about what was or wasn't said? Because those who are sympathetic to General Flynn make the point he never would have been so incautious or naive to A, discuss something of sensitivity with the Russian ambassador, because he would have had some reasonable expectation he might have been recorded, and two, he might have just said things that could be easily construed as benign conversations, like the Russian ambassador says, you know, these sanctions are coming or we're unhappy. We'll review that. We'll take a look at that. But nothing that would indicate a change in policy one way or the other. There are those who are sympathetic to General Flynn's position who said that's a much more likely outcome here. And this isn't necessarily about saying something to the Russian ambassador that was wrong or came up against a potential legal barrier, but that there are other factors involved within this White House, factors unrelated to this, factors about internecine warfare and disagreements and other agendas that are much more critical to Flynn's ultimate demise than this particular set of conversations with the Russian ambassador.
Many, many open questions still. Major Garrett, thanks so much.
Sure.